And another little thing I like to do as well is when I've got it all back together, I like to just go and lift it up and down just so you can hear. You can actually hear the float ball is going up and down, and that's not sticking, and I'm quite happy that that's back together. It's a lot clean and tidy than it was a few minutes ago. So as I said in the previous clip that I filmed, I'd like to think that when I put this back on, this will run really sweet as a nut. But the problem is with these mowers is I just don't trust them very much. And I'm never entirely convinced it's that until I've got it back on and tried it, but they're always a bit of fun of these. I've just got it down here actually, I've not got many in. In fact, my kid said to me the other day, "Daddy, your lawnmower's a bit of a mess, it needs servicing up." But anyway, I'm never convinced with these, but this is potentially, let's just get this out actually, this is potentially a great mower. I mean, the paintwork of it is, you know, cleaned up. I've once again forgotten to clean it off outside, but cleaned up, this is potentially going to look like a brand new mower. I've got the grass box, I say it's got a drive, all the cables are good, they're the main things I look for. The drive works hopefully, cables are good, it's got a grass box with it, so it's complete. And you look on B&Q website, I bet these are about £200 plus. So if I can buy this for 50 and sell it for say 115 with fees, if I sell it on eBay, make £50 for a sort of an hour, a couple of hours in my garage on a night. Personally, I would rather do that than work somewhere on a weekend, or, you know, whatever you choose to do. So this time of year it's great. So even on a mower like this, it's worth doing. So before I bolt this back on, I just want to show you something. This is the part of the air filter. This goes to the air filter at the back. You've got to make sure you've got that on the top of the air filter box when you put it back on. As often I've put these carburetors back on and forgotten about that. It's quite fiddly to get on. But while I'm here, I'm just going to film, I say I've filmed around all these parts before, just show you where bits go really. I'm not entirely sure that this is correct either, but that's as it was, and I can't imagine that anybody's taking this one apart. And it says on the eBay listing for this mower, which is around, I'm guessing it's a £200 plus mower, it says on the listing we've had it a year and a half. Well, it's got a 2-year warranty. So, maybe I should send it back. No, probably best not. But it has a 2-year warranty. Why would you buy something with a 2-year warranty and not use it rather than sell it? She actually said to me, the lady, she said, "Oh, it's my husband's. I think he was probably hiding inside somewhere crying." And she said, "Oh, it was a lot of money, but he's lost his rag with it." Which, if you're not from Britain, losing your rag with something is basically, let's just say it's falling out of love with something and deciding that it's beaten you. But anyway, what I'm going to say is, while I've got this air filter box off and the carburetor off, I'm just going to spray in here and I'm going to clean some of this off. Just see what it comes up like. In fact, let's just get some, let's just see what this comes up like. I like doing this. I should have done this at the beginning really, but let's just for a bit of fun, let's just clean this off. And that's just dirt. It's just dirt, there's no rust or anything like that. And look what we've got here. Look at this. This is a brand new lawnmower. It's pretty much brand new. I mean, look how that's coming up now. That's, you know, 10 seconds worth of cleaning. So I'm going to clean all this crud out from under here. Imagine what this is going to look like when we get this cleaned up along the front and get it outside and make sure it's all serviced up. It's easily worth £115 of someone's money, is this serviced up. All you've got to remember to do is put some fresh fuel in it once a year. I've just given this a quick clean up anyway. I've just sprayed it with WD-40, which I use for a lot of things. Basically just cleaned it off with a cloth and a compressor. It's not 100% perfect, but it's certainly nice and clean to put back on, just to tidy things up as well. Just little bits like this. I hate to see stuff that's dirty like this. It just takes a second just to get my compressor and just clean stuff off like this. It's really handy as a compressor for things like this. Just cleaning off. It just makes it so much easier to work on when you've got somewhere you can get in and just clean a few bits off. It is handy having a compressor. It's the one tool I really do like having. So now I've got that cleaned off, I'm going to have a go at rebolting this carburetor back on. I need to collect the fuel line, which has to go on near the beginning. Because it's around the back of the carburetor, it's a little bit fiddly to do. So I've got to connect that near the beginning and try and keep the carburetor from twisting as well, because the more you twist and turn it to hook it back on, you're going to get some fuel spillage onto this paint, which is still in good order, so it's worth putting just a few rags under here or something like that. So I'm going to connect that up. I need to connect the air filter box up. I need to make sure when I push it back it sits onto this this rubber washer at the back nice and tight, and I get a decent seal. And I need to hook this linkage in here. I need to hook this linkage in that was off the top of the carburetor. I'll have a look back on the video to where it goes, but I think I can remember, so I've done a few of these. But I don't do loads of them because I do avoid buying them. If I can get something different, I will. But I'll certainly spend an hour fixing it up if I can't find anything else locally rather than travel. Just gently push this air filter box back on, connected the fuel line up at the back, connected this air filter one off. This is why you need to remove this recoil cover. Trying to do this with this cover on here, you'll never ever do it. Well, probably never ever do it, but it was there a long time. So I've got the fuel line connected up, I've got this air line connected up. I'm making sure before I put everything back that there's only really 2 linkages on here, and all said and done there's that one there. Making sure everything moves freely. Well, just my glove catching on the edge of that spring there. That's moving nice, and that's moving okay. I've got all 3 in it, so I'm just going to tighten these back up. And it's a little bit late tonight to try. It's actually, yeah, what time is it now? Well, it's actually 10 to 10 now. I've been out earlier, but yeah, I was going to try this tonight, but my golf trolley there. I haven't played golf for about 9 years either, but I've still got my clubs here, look, in the corner. Wilson Deep Reds. Probably used them about 5 times. Anyway, I'm going to tighten these back up, put the air filter on, and then tomorrow, when it's a more convenient time, I'm going to fire this up, and it'll be working 100% perfect, probably. Right, guys and gals, hold on to your pineapples, because I think I've just found out what's wrong with this machine. And now this is probably the #1 cause of these. Oh, fright me to death. Double bottom. Oh, sorry. This is probably the #1 cause of these lawnmowers not starting. Here's the thing. You put this mower back together and everything looks alright. You've cleaned the carburetor out. You made sure all these linkages work. Now, the problem is that this linkage opens and closes here, and this all slides along fine. Now, if you were to put this mower onto choke, here I'm going to push this to the bottom, I'm going to show you the actual mower here. If you put this onto choke here, what actually happens here, keep your eye on this part here, what actually happens here is that slides along there, and then I'm at choke and I've got nothing. It hasn't moved anything. This part hasn't actually moved, has it? See this part here, when I move this up here, watch. What actually happens to that black plastic part, the triangular part, I don't know what it's called. What actually happens to it? I'll tell you what happens to it, nothing. Nothing happens to it. Now the idea of this is this opens this butterfly in here. You can see in here, see how this opens and closes. Now this is your choke. Now if this choke doesn't work, basically to start this mower, when this is on choke here, when you put this onto choke here, this here should be all the way across, which makes this closed. See in there, it's open there, and it's closed there. If that's not closed, how's it going to shut the machine? So you might think, well, how do I alter that? Well, there's a little tip, and this is worth a lot of money to you. If you want to get these mowers and want to be someone who knows how to service these up properly and get these things running, then you need to look at this. You see this screw under here? Well, this is where the adjustment cable comes from. Now, I wish I'd noticed this before, but it's a long time since I've done one, to be honest. If I undo this adjustment screw here and I pull this cable back, you see how here I've got a bit of adjustment on it. If I pull this back, it actually operates this lever here, which in turn goes up to the top and operates this, which operates the choke. Now if I'm going to undo this, which I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to pull this back. What happens here is it adjusts everything, and it adjusts this like governor, if you like, here on the front. It adjusts it, so when you put it onto choke here, instead of this butterfly being open, it should be closed. So I've adjusted this now. I've just undone this here, and you can see just here there isn't that much cable. You see the black part of the cable sticking out. There's not that much left. I've maybe gone a little bit too far, but until I run the mower I don't really know. What you can see here is this linkage here is touching. You can see how it's actually touching that. If I operate this and put it onto choke, you can see, I'll show you what it's doing. You can see it move the black plastic part that I showed you before, this triangular bit. You can see it, it gets to there and it nudges it open, and in turn, if you look inside here, this little butterfly is closed, which will choke, which will mean this mower should fire up nicely now. When we take it back off here, let's take it to halfway, let's take it to sort of, well, let's take it right to there where you would run it at. That's an idle, so somewhere in the middle, you can see here, in the centre of the throttle there, is it's open. So that's working correctly now. Until I actually fire this machine up, it might need a bit more adjustment. I maybe got too far. But basically, when I put that machine onto choke, it does choke the machine. You can see here, it's going to choke it, it's going to start. You're going to have a chance of getting this mower running. I wish I'd looked at that earlier, but as I say, I don't do that many of these. But that tip on its own, on this little video series on YouTube, could make you an absolute small fortune. It really could. Because there's so many of these. Honestly, there's so many people that have these. These are the biggest ones I'm getting questions about. The reason for that is they're only a couple of years old. There's a lot of people that have sort of had them a couple of years and that's all they've lasted. If you can learn one thing, even without taking these two linkages off here and spending an hour doing that, if you can get this in and adjust it, the number one thing to make sure on this machine is make sure this choke's working. And like I said, when I serviced the carburetor, I wasn't totally convinced it was that. And what you've got to remember is the eBay listing said it struggles on idle. It won't idle, and it basically couldn't get it started. Well, yeah, but you won't, because it won't choke, and the carburetor was probably dirty anyway, but it wouldn't choke, so there's a good chance it wouldn't start. And of course it won't idle, because nothing was actually happening in here. You had no adjustment whatsoever. You didn't have any of these adjustments, and that's all working as it should. And that's, you can tell, because somebody's been in here and altered this spring, so it'll probably run a little bit too fast. And I also think here, if you're looking in here, you can see this. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that sets the idle speed, and that looks to be a long way in, and it looks like someone screwed that right in, so when it tries to idle it revs a bit faster. It's all sort of, you would imagine, like a logical thing to do, and you see it on lots of mowers, but that to me wants backing off a little bit. Basically it wants this whole part wants to be able to go in a lot further than that, and I think that will slow the idle down, but I can't start it up, which I really want to start it up now. But we've got half a chance of this mower working now. I know it's not the plugs, I've tried a different one. We've got some fresh fuel in it, we've got the carburetor serviced. I finally remembered what adjust this, just basically just having a look round by having a look at how the linkages worked. Before I put it back together I was just making sure it all worked. It suddenly dawned on me that that part wasn't doing anything, and my memory kicked in. So I've got that back together, carburetor serviced. I say the plug's okay, I've got some fuel in it. So I reckon that this mower might actually start up. In fact, I might just put this recoil on here and let's just try and fire it up in garage. It's a bit late, but hey. So I really shouldn't be doing this, as it's like 10:15 at night, but hello. But I'm going to do it anyway. Stick it on short. If it does start, I'm going to have to stop it quite quick. There's a good chance it could kick back as well, because it's been tipped up and all sorts. But if my wife starts shouting at me now, you know why. So I'll stick this on choke. Wish me luck. Oh yes, ah yes, and we've got a runner with lovely stuff. We'll have another look tomorrow before I die of breathing something in. I'll open this door, but we've got a runner. So how exciting was that? I don't know about you, but I get really, I still get really excited by this. It's all a bit weird, it's all a bit odd, but it's good fun, isn't it? I mean, you get that, and it's, you know, somebody can't get it going, and then you just fire it up, and you know you've got a working mower that's going to turn you some profit. That's it is a bit strange for the newcomer, but I actually find that quite good. That's a great thing to happen, that just before I'm going to pack up for the night as well. So I've got myself a Mountfied self-propelled there that I know is going to run. So I'll take that out tomorrow and I'll adjust that cable underneath. Make sure you remember that tip. I wish I'd have remembered it a couple of hours ago. I would have tried that before servicing the carb. But even that's the selling point when I come to sell it. I know that I've been genuine. I know I've serviced the carburetor. But I'll get that out tomorrow and I'll adjust the cable, I'll get it idling properly and make sure it's running okay, make sure the drive works. Then I can basically do all the usual service stuff that I would do and probably make myself a good £60–65 profit. And I've had a bit of fun in the process and filmed these videos. I said the kids in the garden earlier, I don't get all that much time to do that, but I said I would do some as I got through the year. And I specifically bought that one just with these videos in mind, just to help people out who are really buying these and not getting all the information that they want for repairing them. So basically that's where the linkages go. That's how to get the carb off, and I did actually show how to service the carburetor. And that's the main thing to check for on these mowers. Basically, I would imagine that's just a bit of cable stretch or something like that, but it's just setting them up and getting them running. But of course, if the linkages aren't working, it's not actually doing what it's supposed to do, and it's not closing that thing and choking it, which we had outside. Of course, the mower won't keep running. You might get it going eventually when it gets up to temperature, but without the choke coming on like that, you really are going to struggle. So I'm going to go in now, and please help me out if I put these videos on to help you. I've had some really nice comments recently. I had a comment from a chap saying, you don't realise how much it's helped, it's really kept me out of the job centre, which I thought was a big one, and I appreciated that, and he really appreciated the videos, and it's really set him off on something, and he's managing to get himself some extra income as well, or maybe just it's the only income he's getting at the minute, I'm not sure, but it was a lovely email to receive. Thank you very much for that, and that's sort of what prompted me back into doing this video. So I'll take it out tomorrow, we'll have a look at cleaning it up. I'm going to check the oil, of course, but I think there's a bit in it. I had a look earlier. We'll see if we need to top it up or change it. We'll sharpen the blade, we'll take off the drive cover for the belt and clean out any old grass, put a spark plug in it. Basically give this machine a good tidy up. I might change the pull cord as well, that looks a bit dull. I'm going to make this one look like new, and I'm going to ask for a sort of £60 profit on this. And that's not bad really for a night's work, if you like, when you know you could have been watching EastEnders, I suppose. I think I'd rather have 60 quid if I'm honest, but mind you, I'd rather paint my bedroom ceiling than watch EastEnders, but that's another story. Thanks for watching. Please stay subscribed or help us by sharing this video and getting this message out that you can actually make yourself some money working from home. Just in here. I'm going to get my dirty gloves off now. I'm going to go and have some cheese and crackers. I'm going to go watch the end of Formula 1 from yesterday because my life's so exciting. I'm buzzing. I love it. Love it when I get a mower going. See you shortly.